The year is 2035, and the New Jersey Devils are still frontrunners for Jacob Markstrom.
You're Locked On Flames, your daily podcast on the Calgary Flames. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Locked On Flames. As always, I am your host, Jess, and thank you so much for joining me today. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com/locked-on to get started. We are still watching this Jacob Markstrom saga unfold after it was put on a brief hiatus. And now there are some more hands in the pot, as well as exploring other options, and why it's more than likely going to be New Jersey at the end of the day. Make sure you're subscribed to Locked On Flames wherever you get your podcasts, as well as on YouTube. We are here for you Monday through Friday, 5 days a week, your team every day. I very much feel like I am back in February talking about the Jacob Markstrom trade and how it's going to happen any day. And he's going to be a New Jersey Devil. And this player is going to be a Flame. This is the draft pick. Like, it is very reminiscent, and because we are not that far removed, and it is still the same stuff. But this weekend, Elliot Friedman reported on 32 Thoughts that the Flames are trying to keep this quiet. Going to the largest hockey podcast and telling them, oh yeah, we're going to keep this quiet. Like, we're trying to keep it in-house. Like, okay. Like Nick and I have talked about a lot on this show. You're hearing what you're hearing for a reason. So if the Flames are reporting to two very trusted sources in the industry that they're trying to keep it in-house, you're not going to be hearing from the Flames camp. You're going to be hearing from everyone else. But it sounds like New Jersey is still the front runner, but Toronto and Ottawa have also kind of put their hand in the mix of things. Ottawa was mentioned previously as well, as they have had several conversations regarding Markstrom with the Flames. So I'm less likely to believe that he's going to Ottawa because he said he wants to be on a competitive team or a contender, allegedly. So he's already agreed to waive his no movement clause for the Devils. Sure, there probably are other teams in there that would make sense to, if there was an opportunity you'd move them for, but you know that New Jersey is a done deal, essentially. And Toronto, I do not think that is a good situation. Obviously, Markstrom was signed by Brad Treliving, but I don't know how sticky of a situation that might be. Because again, he doesn't like his name in the headlines. He doesn't enjoy that. He's a competitive player, keeps his head down, and it's all about the game. And unfortunately, that's not the case in a market like Toronto. But with the Ottawa Senators, it's apparently the proposed package, allegedly, is Korpisalo, who is their goaltender, who he played in Columbus, then ended up getting traded to LA and then to Ottawa. I think he signed in free agency. So, sure, and the 7th overall draft pick. I do not think you're getting the 7th overall draft pick. I think that is being put out there as a teaser to get other teams to overpay. And Ottawa can just back right out of that. But it's strange to me that Ottawa is kicking their tires. I don't know. Like, I really figure, like, obviously you're going to have as many teams involved as are interested, but if you know that a player wants to go to a competitive team, you have to be pretty delusional to consider yourself a competitive team. Or sorry, not a competitive team, a contender. Every team is hopefully competitive, but you have to be delusional to think that the Ottawa Senators are contenders. And I feel like if Jacob Markstrom, like if you brought that to him, he would probably laugh in your face, because I know I did. I laughed a lot. But what we're hearing now from New Jersey is that they are still the front runners. And Chris Johnson on his podcast today regarding Jacob Markstrom, I have to believe the New Jersey Devils get this done. Chris Johnson, is not reporting the framework is done, but it feels like all the ingredients are there to eventually get a trade done with New Jersey. Okay, so this is where we were at in February. Okay, like we were here. We were very much here, about to cross that finish line. Markstrom was all set to be a New Jersey Devil, and on that road trip, he was going to get traded. And then Flames management backed out. They had cold feet. So it's not done until it's done. Like, I do feel like New Jersey will end up coming out on the other side of this as Jacob Markstrom's new team for the next 3 years, but I also don't. It wouldn't surprise me if either something goes awry to the point where, like, the Flames back out. Markstrom says, "No, I'm not waiving my clause anymore. Haha, that's funny." Or New Jersey just gets tired of dealing with the negotiations, because we know that at the end of the day, the issue comes down to money and retaining salary, and I just don't see a lot of budging from a certain side on that. But coming up next, I wanted to explore Jacob Markstrom package deal with one of the Flames forwards to Carolina. And this was proposed by Zach from Locked On Carolina Hurricanes, and I highly suggest you listen to that show. It is very informative, very great, but I wanted to kind of break it down and give you a little bit of my reaction, and we will be doing that right after this. But first, I want to talk to you about an app that I'm sure most of you, if not all of you, have been using this playoff season. Summertime means baseball, the NBA Finals, and more, and you can bet it all on FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $200 you can bet everything from the Finals MVP to who's going to hit one out of the park. If I were you, I would not be betting on Giancarlo Stanton to do anything other than strike out. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and add a big win to your summer bucket list. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Thank you, everyone, for hanging out with me today on Locked On Flames. Make sure you're subscribed wherever you're getting your podcasts, as well as on YouTube. I am going to share my screen here. So if you're watching on YouTube, please be nice. This is just a proposal. This is not anything. It's just a proposal. We don't need to we don't need to do any sort of overreaction. So again, this is from Zach Martin of Locked On Hurricanes, and he says so this is the trade. The Flames would receive Martin Necas, Kotkaniemi, a 2024 second round pick, as well as a 2025 fourth round pick. Now, the Hurricanes would receive Jacob Markstrom, Andrew Mangiapane, the 2024 second round pick that they acquired from Dallas, and a conditional third round pick in 2025. I'm going to be real honest with you. I don't think the Hurricanes are going to be taking on, without the Flames retaining any of that, that's $11.9 million. I do not see a world where they are doing that, but I wouldn't expect the Flames not to retain anything, because you have to retain something, especially on those two contracts. I am very split on Necas because he's 25, which, I mean, that's fine. Igor Sharangovich is 25. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say we just need a super young team full of like 21-year-olds. Look at what's going on in San Jose. But to me, I do feel like this is a lot. I don't think you are going to be able to package those two together. And I feel like this is a similar situation to the Zadorov and Chris Tanev trade, or the Lindholm and Tanev trade, where they tried to package them together and then they said, no, like, we're not doing that. We know that we can get more for an individual player. And I think that that's going to be the case. I don't think Mangiapane is going to be bundled in a deal. It's not like he is like a cap dump. He is a pending UFA next summer. But to me, I don't see a world where this is happening. Marty Necas is a great player. I do think that he has room to grow. I saw that he wants to play center a lot more, but he doesn't do too well on faceoffs. And what do the Flames need? We've said it a lot. Yeah, they need centers. No one said they have to be elite centers, because you don't have to be elite to play in Calgary. We would like it to be, but can't be too picky right now. I don't think that they're going to trade. They call him KK. Simply because that is another big contract. And I do think that he could benefit from a change of scenery. I don't know if that's a very similar situation to the Flames, where you're packaging those two together. This would obviously have to get done before the drafts, and then Marty would need the extension. You gotta do something. But I hate the idea of trading Mangiapane. Okay. I do. Like, it makes me sad, because I thought that he was going to be just this fantastic, consistent, 25, 30 goal scorer for his career. Things have not gone that way. And that is disappointing, especially for the amount of money he makes. However, you do have to, this is a business. If you have an opportunity to flip that into something better, go ahead. Talk about draft capital all the time. You turn those draft picks into either future players, or you put them in a package deal. You throw them in. Just like the proposed one here is the 2024 second round pick from Dallas. I am very certain that Markstrom and Mangiapane are not traded together. I would be shocked. I think that this trade in general would just be so big for both sides to take on. And I don't necessarily think that it's a win for either side, I guess. I mean, the Flames do get younger here. They Natchez is 25 and KK is around the same age. I think he's 23. So you're getting younger there and you still have team control, but like and those are very attractive features, but I don't know if you are going to want to take on a contract. I remember when what's his name was offer sheeted KK from Montreal to Carolina. And I do find it interesting that, I mean, obviously everything changes and players adapt to teams and styles differently. I just am I'm sure that a change of scenery would be great. Let me pull this up here. Okay, so he is 23 years old and has a modified no trade clause. Okay, so right now he has no trade clause. And his cap hit is $4.8 million. I thought it was in the sixes, but that's still a lot. And that contract goes until 2029, 2030. That's like right up there with the Huberdeau contract. Obviously, he would be a lot younger than Huberdeau. He would be 29. Man. He has 161 points in just under 400 games, played in 22 playoff points in 69 games. That's a long time. And I think if the Flames were going to do something like this, they would need to do it independently rather than, again, bundled. I also don't know if Eric Tulsky, who is supposed to be named their next general manager, is going to be up for that. So let's see. Marty Natchez is 25 years old, and let me pull up his contract. Why is that not? Okay, that's his entry-level contract. That doesn't do me any good. But he is signed through the end of next year, I believe. It's just, I love cap friendly. Let's pull this up. Okay, so yes, he is an RFA at the end of the 2024-2025 season with arbitration rights. I'm okay to pass on this. I am. And it feels like it would be better without Marty. It's not a Marty party. There's only room for one Marty party in Calgary. So I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to exploring the Mangiapane and KK trade. I think that would be fine. I think that is definitely something to look at, but I don't see where Natchez fits in here. And I'm sorry. And I'm assuming he's going to want, maybe something a little bit longer term next season, and he'll be 26, and the Flames cannot afford to do that to another player. they aren't certain on. So we'll have to see. I mean, I don't think that, I think that Natchez ends up in Vancouver or maybe Colorado. I don't know, but we'll have to wait and see. I'm not entirely opposed to this. I just think that there's a lot that you have to sit here and nitpick. And like I have said 1,016 times, I am not someone that can properly evaluate trades and value. However, I do feel like Carolina is kind of getting the short end of the stick with Mangiapane because he has not put up consistent numbers. So, coming up next, we will wrap up the show with what do you do? Where do the Flames go from here? Because we haven't asked ourselves that question enough this season, and we will be right back after this. Thanks everyone for hanging out with me today on Locked On Flames. Make sure you are subscribed wherever you get your podcasts, as well as YouTube. We're here for you Monday through Friday, 5 days a week. Your team every day. We talked a little bit about it just now in terms of what do you do in a situation like that, right? I think that there are attractive pieces, but I don't know if those are the pieces that go together to complete those trades. I don't see the Flames going after Natchez. I just don't. I don't know. I think that they have their heart just completely set on trading Jacob Markstrom and going from there. Then we'll kind of let the cards fall where they do. Obviously, got to sign Oliver Shillington. You gotta fill out some of that roster spot. You gotta do something on that back end because that defense is just looking a lot like Swiss cheese. Tough to watch. But ultimately, this is Markstrom's decision, right? If you where do you want to spend your final years of your career? In Ottawa, who can't seem to get out of their own way for whatever reason, or New Jersey, who definitely has more attractive pieces and is a lot closer to contending than your other option. I'm not waiving my anything to go to Ottawa. This is personal growth here for me because a year ago I'd say, screw it, I'm going to Ottawa. I'm not going to New Jersey simply because I'm petty. But no, you want to win, you're going to have to go to Jersey. I'm not saying you're going to win. Your odds are a little bit better if you go to Jersey than Ottawa. I think that, regardless of where Markstrom ends up, this is going to set the Flames back. But it's what they need. It's going to be tough. It's going to be hard to watch. It's not going to be enjoyable hockey. It's going to be some really bad, just lopsided games. Really bad lopsided games. But it is what the Flames need to do. It is what they need to do in order to get themselves back into that contending, competitive position. And that's fine. You have to take your lumps. Jacob Markstrom is doing the Flames a favor once again, and you just hope that the Flames get it done and do it right. I don't think that they are in a position to to mess this up and walk into training camp and have to look Jacob Markstrom in the eye and say, hey, we messed it up again. Sorry. It's not a good look. It's not a good way to approach this. And you just hope they don't mess it up. Especially if there are lucrative prospects or draft picks on the table. Everyone's saying, well, it would be done if that 10th overall pick was included. No, it wouldn't. That's not a guarantee. Yeah, it probably would be closer, but you have to remember that Flames also probably going to want either a roster player or a high-end prospect. So you got to reevaluate, where things were in that February to where they are now. And it'll be interesting to see, because I really do think at the end of the day, it's New Jersey, unless like there's just a complete like dark horse that comes out of nowhere. And we're talking like, I don't even know who has cap space to possibly take on Markstrom's contract or a good chunk of it. Dallas obviously doesn't need a goaltender. Vancouver, Chicago. Jacob Markstrom is not going to Chicago. If he's not going to Ottawa, he's not going to Chicago. Columbus, maybe. I mean, they're kind of in that same city. Every team that basically needs a goaltender that's not New Jersey is kind of bad. So we're going to have to wait and see, because if there is a dark horse, I don't suspect it to be a true competitor. But again, I could be very wrong, because I said back in February this trade was done. It was a done deal. And here we are in June, still talking about it. Markstrom did the Flames a big favor around the deadline, and he's doing it again. I think it'll be fine. It's going to stink. Markstrom's a good goaltender. No one is saying that he is, this elite, high-end, Henrik Lundqvist type of goaltender. But he gets it done. And that's what matters. You need to stop goals to win games, and he does that. It's just a matter of the other team putting up enough points to back up his game. So we'll see where we are at tomorrow. Maybe there will be an update. I was kind of hoping a trade would happen and kind of steal the spotlight on ahead of game 2, but that has not happened. So that will do it for me here on today's episode of Locked On Flames. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I hope you have a fantastic evening, and I hope both hockey teams lose, and I hope whoever you're rooting for wins. As long as it's, I really don't know. Make sure you're subscribed to the show wherever you're getting your podcasts, as well as on YouTube. You can follow me on Twitter at Jess Belmosto, and you can follow the show's Instagram at Locked On Flames. Until then, stay safe, stay warm, stay dry, stay hydrated, and be kind.